make sense to us in the moment. There will be times when his guidance leads us in a direction that feels uncomfortable, uncertain, or even scary. But those are the moments when faith is truly put to the test. Do we trust him enough to take the step, even when we don't know where it will lead? Do we trust that his plans are better than our plans, even when we can't see the whole picture? God's guidance often requires us to step out of our comfort zones. It requires us to let go of our need for control and trust that he knows what's best for us. This can be challenging, especially when the path ahead is unclear. But that's where faith comes in. Faith is not about having all the answers. It's about trusting the one who does. It's about believing that even though we can't see the future, God is already there and he's guiding us every step of the way. One of the most powerful aspects of God's guidance is that it's not just about leading us to the right places. It's about teaching us to trust him more deeply. Every time we take a step in faith, even when we don't have all the answers, our trust in him grows. And as that trust grows, so does our relationship with him. We learn to lean on him, to seek his voice, to follow his lead, even when the path is uncertain. That's the essence of faith, walking by trust, not by sight. God's guidance also teaches us the value of obedience. When he gives us life for the next step, it's up to us to take it. We may not know what comes after that step, but we do know that God has called us to move. And in that movement, in that act of obedience, we find his blessings. Obedience is an essential part of walking with God. It's in those moments when we choose to trust and obey, even when we don't have all the answers, that we experience the fullness of his guidance. Taking things one step at a time also keeps us grounded in the present. When we're focused on today's direction, we're more aware of what God is doing in our lives right now. We see his hand in the details, in the small moments, and the seemingly insignificant decisions that end up shaping our lives in profound ways. God is always at work, even in the moments that feel ordinary. When we focus on today's direction, we become more attuned to his presence in the everyday moments. God's guidance is personal. He knows us better than we know ourselves. He knows what we need when we need it and how to lead us in the way that's best for us. His guidance is not a one-size-fits-all approach. It's tailored to each of us individually. What he asks of one person may be different from what he asks of another. Because he knows our unique strengths, weaknesses, and circumstances, when we focus on today's direction, we allow him to lead us in the way that's best for our personal journey. The journey of faith is not about having all the answers or knowing exactly where we're going. It's about trusting God to lead us one step at a time. It's about focusing on the light he gives us for today and trusting that when tomorrow comes, he'll provide the light we need then too. It's a process of walking in faith, of learning to trust his timing, his wisdom, and his love. Sometimes in life we encounter situations where we feel like we're on the right path, moving forward towards something we deeply desire, only to have a door close in our face. It could be a job we were certain was ours, a relationship we thought would last forever, or a plan we had for our future that suddenly falls apart. These moments of closed doors can feel like rejection, like we've been denied something we've worked for, hoped for, and maybe even prayed for. It's easy in those moments to feel discouraged, frustrated, or even angry with God. We might ask, why would he let this happen? Why did he allow me to get so close only to shut the door? But here's the truth, sometimes a closed door is not a rejection at all. It's divine protection. It's God stepping in and saying, I know this isn't what you wanted, but it's not what's best for you. What looks like a setback or a disappointment from our perspective is often God's way of protecting us from something that we can't see, something that could hurt us in the long run. We might not understand it in the moment, but God's wisdom far surpasses our own. He sees the full picture, while we see only a piece of it. He knows what's on the other side of that door, and sometimes, out of his great love for us, he closes it to protect us from something that isn't meant for us. It's hard to accept, especially when we've invested time, energy, and emotion into something. But what we often don't realize is that if God allowed us to go through that door, we might end up in a situation that would cause more harm than good. Maybe that job would have led to burnout. or the company wasn't as stable as it seemed. Maybe that relationship wasn't as healthy as we thought, or would have distracted us from a greater purpose. We can't always see what's behind the closed door, but God can. He knows what lies ahead, and He knows when to intervene, even if it feels painful in the moment. This idea of divine protection goes beyond just saving us from potential harm. It's also about redirecting us to something better. God doesn't just close doors and leave us standing there with no options. He closes doors to guide us to the ones we're supposed to walk through. Every closed door is a sign that there's another path, another opportunity, another plan that is more aligned with His will for our lives.